Hello, fellow seekers. It's time to talk about time. Let's explore an idea that is gaining traction in physics, namely, the idea that time does not actually exist, either as an independent sublayer of reality, nor as an emergent property of space. Rather, it may simply be a measurement of change, and our experience of sequential changes in our immediate environment from our localized perspective. Let's begin. Time as a measurement of change, an in-depth exploration. The concept of time has intrigued philosophers and scientists for centuries. One compelling perspective suggests that time does not exist as an independent entity, but is simply a measurement of change. In this view, time is not a tangible dimension that flows independently of the events within it. Rather, it is a tool we use to quantify the progression and sequence of changes occurring around us. Time and change, an inseparable relationship. Time cannot be considered without acknowledging change because it fundamentally arises from our observation of change. If nothing changed, no movement, no transformations, no events, the concept of time would be meaningless. Time is essentially the metric by which we compare different states of reality, marking the progression from one state to another. Counting repetitive phenomena. Our measurement of time relies on counting repetitive, predictable phenomena. For example, Earth's rotation. A day is defined by one full rotation of the Earth on its axis. Atomic vibrations. Atomic clocks measure time by counting the consistent vibrations of atoms, such as cesium, which oscillate at precise frequencies. These repetitive processes provide a consistent reference point that allows us to measure and compare changes in a standardized way. Understanding motion through time. When we say a car is moving at 50 miles per hour, we're expressing that the car travels 50 miles during the period it takes for a specific number of repetitive processes, like the ticking of a clock, to occur. Speed is thus a relationship between the change in position, distance, and the counting of these regular intervals, time. That is, if days, we are simply comparing two change events, one repetitive and one not repetitive. That is, how much has the car's relative position changed while the gears in the watch rotated 60 times? Age is a count of cycles. Saying a person is 1 year old means that the Earth has completed approximately 365 rotations, days, and one orbit around the Sun since the person was born. Age is a way of counting how many times these large-scale, repetitive astronomical events have occurred relative to an individual's starting point. Clocks. Instruments of change counting. Clocks do not measure an abstract entity called time. They count the repetitive movements of their own mechanisms. Mechanical clocks use the swinging of a pendulum or the oscillation of a balance wheel. Digital clocks count the vibrations of quartz crystals. Atomic clocks measure the consistent energy transitions in atoms. Each tick represents a completed cycle of a repetitive process, providing a unit to count and compare changes elsewhere. The non-existence of time without change. If there were no change, no events unfolding, no particles moving, there would be nothing to measure, and thus, time would have no meaning. This highlights that time is not an independent backdrop against which events occur, but a construct that arises from the very occurrence of change itself. Human constructs of time. Human societies have developed calendars and clocks to track time, aligning these tools with regular, predictable events. Calendars, based on astronomical cycles like days, months, moon phases, and years. Clocks and watches, synchronized with standardized repetitive processes to ensure consistent timekeeping. These constructs allow us to coordinate activities, plan for the future, and record the sequence of events, all based on the tracking of change relative to consistent patterns. Conclusion: time as a conceptual tool. In this perspective, time does not exist independently, but is a conceptual framework we use to understand and communicate about change. It is the counting and comparing of repetitive, predictable processes that allow us to quantify the sequence and duration of events. Without change, the very foundation of time collapses, emphasizing that time is intrinsically linked to the dynamic nature of the universe. Implications of this view: scientific measurements. In physics, measurements of time are crucial, but they are always tied to processes that change. Philosophical considerations. This view challenges us to reconsider notions of time travel, or time as a fourth dimension, proposing instead that only change exists. By understanding time as a measurement rooted in change, we might gain a clearer perspective on how we interact with the world, plan our lives, and comprehend the universe's ongoing evolution. Thank you for spending time with me in the great abyss of knowledge that we call home.